With Spencer Strider going down recently with an injury to end his season, I thought this was a perfect time to come on here and talk about this. There has been way too many pitcher injuries this year, man. Way too many. You can look at the list of current players that are on the IL due to pitcher injuries, and it is absolutely insane. There's been a lot of rumblings over on Twitter, in the baseball media, just in the entire baseball world, just talking about pitchers and what they need to do to stop this from happening, because I feel like over the last few years, there's been an influx and a huge plethora of players that just continuously get hurt because of their arm. Jacob DeGrom is a great example. He was elite, absolutely elite, just a few years ago. His biggest thing was, could he stay healthy? He had a few Tommy John surgeries. He would come back. He would pump 100. And it was like, how is this even making sense? He was coming back from Tommy John surgery. Years ago, if you had Tommy John surgery, your velocity was usually the first thing to decrease. Not for Jacob DeGrom, and not for a lot of these current players. We've seen players come back from Tommy John. Chris Sale had it happen a few years ago as well. He came back from Tommy John. He was pumping like 99, 100 miles per hour, something that we never really seen from Chris Sale. Jacob DeGrom, of course, like I said, multiple other guys just continuously pump 100 miles per hour. Now, we've seen Spencer Strider go down. We've seen Shane Bieber go down. We've seen a lot of players get hurt currently in the MLB. It's sad to see, man. I hate seeing these guys get hurt. I wanted to see a full season of Spencer Strider. I was curious to see how the Braves were going to do with Spencer Strider kind of being that ace again this year. I thought they kind of didn't really meet expectations last year, and I was like, Spencer Strider was at the helm of that. He's got to come into this season and perform extremely well, and that's completely vanished. Like I mentioned, other guys across the league, the Tampa Bay Rays have been notorious for dealing with pitcher injuries the last few years. Shane McClanahan is hurt. Rasmussen is hurt. Jeffrey Springs, I believe, is still hurt as well. Like they continuously get guys that are continuously hurt, and it sucks. Shane McClanahan is one of the best pitchers in the league, and he's been hurt for like what it seems like 2 years now. He can't stay healthy for an entire season. They recently had Tyler Glasnow. Now he's on the Dodgers, and I hope he has a full season of health, but he was somebody that dealt with a lot of injuries the last few years. And I think that the common denominator here, I think that's the right way to say it, but the common thing between all of these guys is they pump 100 miles per hour. And that has been the main topic of conversation in the baseball world over the last few weeks is, do these pitchers need to pump 100 miles per hour? Should they continuously hurt their arm and probably slow down their career by pumping 100 miles per hour at all times? We have seen it work in the past. Nolan Ryan, I think, is an outlier. He's an outlier. Like, don't even pay attention to Nolan Ryan, because that man is just incredible. But we have seen it rarely happen in the past where guys can pump 100 miles per hour or 100 plus miles per hour and have a extended career in baseball. Aroldis Chapman is also an outlier. He is, 35 years old now, 36 years old, and he's still pumping 104 miles per hour, which is just absolutely insane. Now, he has worked incredibly hard on his body. When he first came into the league, he was a string bean, man. He was extremely scrawny. And look at him now. He's incredibly jacked. He's got a lot of muscle on his body. But a lot of these pitchers, I think, would benefit from, I wouldn't say necessarily becoming a control artist type of pitcher, but you don't need to throw 100. I really believe that. Like, I didn't get to grow up in the 90s or even the early 2000s, but 25 years ago, did we have pitchers coming up through the minor leagues that we were like, oh, they need to stay healthy. They need to stay healthy once they get into the league. Like, we were scared to, call him up because didn't know if he was going to stay healthy. That seems to be a common thing now. All these young guys, Paul Skeens is a top guy. Like, he's somebody that can throw 100 miles per hour. A big question is, can he stay healthy? Can his arm stay healthy? Can he keep that velocity up? I don't know if that's... I don't really like the way it's trajectory for him. Like, I think he's going to be a beast. I love Paul Skeens, but the way the league is looking, like, it's almost like they need to pinpoint guys that are throwing 100 miles per hour. All these scouts are looking at guys like, oh, he throws 100 miles per hour. Let's work on him. He's got a great fastball already. He clearly throws 100 miles per hour. Let's work with him. Let's try to work on these other pitches so he can build build his career. Hunter Green is somebody that I look at. He is somebody that he's got a great fastball, 100 miles per hour type fastball. he struggles with control. He doesn't really have many secondary pitches. He does have a slider. He does have a sinker, or sorry, a changeup. So fastball, slider, changeup, I believe is his pitch mix right now. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what it is. His changeup and his slider aren't very good. His fastball is really his main thing. He's not really getting many whiffs on his fastball. Nate Pearson is another guy that we had to watch as a Blue Jays fan come up through the minor league system. Oh, he could throw 100 plus miles per hour as a starter. Is he going to be elite in the big leagues? No, that's not the case. He couldn't get whiffs with his fastball. He's really not a great pitcher at getting whiffs with his fastball. He had to work on developing some secondary pitches, some pitches that he can control, because a lot of these guys that can pump 100 miles per hour struggle with control. We've even Nolan Ryan back in the day, he was somebody that struggled with control with his fastball. Like he could strike out any guy that came up to bat, but he struggled with control. He had a lot of walks. Same with, like I said, Hunter Green is one of those guys. He just continuously walked guys. Jacob deGrom is probably the one guy that could completely dot 100 miles per hour every single time. He was just incredible, and it sucks because I think deGrom's career, he's been hurt way too much the last few years. By the time he comes back, if we see any ounce of the old Jacob deGrom, I think that'll be a blessing in disguise, honestly. I'm going to read you guys something that I came across on Twitter. I will post the screenshots up on screen so you guys can read along with me, but Alex Wood came on Twitter and he decided to talk about this stuff, and I think this was a great thing to talk about because I seen him, I seen Chris Bassett, I seen some other guys who have been kind of known as pitchers that are more so control artists. They focus on dotting and not throwing 100 miles per hour all the time. Like, they have really filthy stuff. Chris Bassett, I watch Chris Bassett all the time. He has great pitches. He throws like 8-9 different pitches, man. But anyways, Alex Wood, he posted this on Twitter. He was talking about, like, and I like this because it's an outlook from the league. It's an outlook from different players across the league. And I think Alex Wood kind of hit it on the nail right with this one. He was saying how something that a lot of players and people, especially in the baseball media, kind of overlook is with the arm injuries recently, he thinks that it's mainly because the players now throw moderate to high intense close to year round. When he was coming up through the league, he said in 2012, he usually wouldn't touch the baseball until December. And he knew about players that whenever they would hit the off season, they wouldn't end up touching the baseball until spring training. Now it's like a year-round type thing, and we've seen guys have arm fatigue once the season starts, and that shouldn't be a thing, man. Like that it's awful. Like, that really shouldn't be that way. He also mentioned about how, from the player's perspective, would be the schedule. Random day and night games possibly doesn't help. He would play the first 3 road games on the East Coast, and then, which would be after being on a Pacific time the last 2 months, effectively playing 3 games at 10 a.m. in the morning, which is something that people probably overlook a lot. Different time zones, different things like that. Now, another thing that he mentioned, and I really never thought of this before, but it really makes sense, is how every single ballpark has a different mound. Every single ballpark has different dirt, different clay, different slopes, different mound heights. Some are hard, some are soft. It has to have some type of impact on your throw when all the mounds are different, right? Yeah, and that's perfect. Like, that makes perfect sense. I really believe that. But yeah, I think he hit it on the nail with that, man. Yeah, he mentioned about how a few different veteran players, like all-star type players, wouldn't come in and start throwing the baseball until spring training when February came around. They would take those few months off and completely rest their arm, and they knew that they would still have the stuff come February. I think, and I hate to say this because I feel like 25, 30 years ago, I feel like the medical staff for a lot of teams and the scouting was probably kind of mid, and now looking at it from like, say if we were back then, we would have looked ahead to now and thought, oh, they should have incredibly good medical staff. They should have incredibly good scouts. And I feel like right now, baseball is kind of lacking in that. And I might be completely wrong with that, but I feel like the medical staff doesn't do a great job. And I feel like the scouting might not do a great job either. Because like I said earlier, like, they're always trying to pinpoint at guys that are throwing 100 miles per hour. Like, If you're coming through college and you can throw 100 miles per hour, chances are you're going to get a shot at making the big leagues eventually. If you're somebody that has great control and can only throw 91, 92 miles per hour, you might not have that same shot, which sucks because I feel like velocity is being favored over control way too much now. Because like I mentioned, like they will look at guys that can throw 100 miles per hour and think, okay, we can use him and work on secondary pitches. Instead of looking at guys that have great control and think, okay, we can use him and maybe work on velo or work on, other stuff. I don't know what it could be, but other stuff with pitchers. And I feel like I said, velocity is being favored way too much. Like they should be taking time to look at some of these guys that can really just dot pitches and just have great control. Like there's been so many successful guys in the big leagues that have been control artists. Clayton Kershaw is somebody that comes to mind over the last 20 years almost. Like I know he's dealt with some injuries over the last couple of years, but he was somebody that he would not be throwing 100 miles per hour. He had insanely filthy pitches, man, and it's because he could dot those pitches. He had great control. Even years ago, Steve Carlton was somebody that had great control. Greg Maddux, the control art, one of the best control artists of all time. Like he was the control artist. He would go out there and he'd throw 89, 90 miles per hour, but he could dot your life away. He could paint every corner possible. And I also seen something recently that said 20 years ago, so I think the 2003-2004 season around there, the average fastball velocity was 89.9 miles per hour, not even 90 miles per hour across the entire league. Now it is like 96. So if there's one outlier when it comes to why guys are getting why guys are getting injured as much as they are, I think that speaks volumes right there. And I hate to say this and I hate to see this because I just hate to see injuries, man. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But like I said before, with Paul Skeens and like I said with Nate Pearson had that happen recently, like other guys across the league, like they will come up through the minor leagues and the biggest question is, will they stay healthy? Will they be able to control their arm over the next 10, 15, 20 years of their career? And I feel like that's not always a good thing to think about. Like we shouldn't have to have these young guys come up through the league and that be the biggest question. Like we shouldn't have that be the thing. Like I hate to have that as a question. Like, can he stay healthy? I hate that question, but it has to be a question, man. But yeah, man, I want to see what you guys have to say down in the comments down below. Like, do you guys think that is the biggest reason right now is because of velocity, or do you guys think it's something else? Have you guys been doing different research on what you guys think? I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. So make sure you guys put that in the comments. I know this was a different type of video. I didn't really know how to come on here and talk about this. I was like, I feel like it was just such a vague question. I was like, I want to kind of deep dive into it a little bit, but I really only seen a few things. Like I said, Chris Bassett made a video and he was talking about it. And like I said, at the Alex Wood stuff that we had talked about before, I know this was like a different type of video. I kind of came on here and I was just, whatever, but I more so want to hear your guys' takes and I want to see you guys comment and have conversations about it. Like, my take is that, yes, I do believe that guys are throwing way too hard and they need to focus on control more than velocity. And that starts when they're young. Like, we're seeing a lot of these young guys. Like, Yuri Perez is somebody that just got recently hurt as well, and he's out for the entire season. He's like 22, 23 years old, man. It sucks. I hate to see that. Like, he should be somebody that should want to focus on his control more than throwing 100 miles per hour. Now, I don't think he's really somebody that's throwing 100 miles per hour all the time, but he is somebody that has great velocity on his pitches. So like I said, I am somebody that does believe that velocity is being favored over control way too much, and I think they need to change that. And if they do change that, I think we do definitely see a decrease in injuries, or at least I hope so, right? And if that's not the case, then maybe we got to look at the medical staff, and we got to talk about the medical staffs across the league. Like, are the medical staffs not doing their job when it comes to, finding the best ways to save guys' arms and being able to keep them healthy at all times and giving them enough rest and giving them enough reps and whatnot. Our pitching coach is doing the right job as far as developing these guys' young arms? Like, are they putting them in the certain situations where they won't get hurt? Like, there's a lot of questions, and like I said, I just want to hear your guys' thoughts more so. Comment down below what you guys think. I apologize. I feel like I was rambling like most of this video. Like, I feel like I just woke up not too long ago. I don't want to use any excuses or anything, but I felt like I was just rambling on. But anyways, that is going to do it for this video, guys. I stream 5 to 6 times a week over on Twitch. We talk about a lot of baseball stuff over there. We stream MLB The Show. I love talking to you guys. I love talking baseball. I love talking sports. So if you guys want to follow me over there, the link will be down in the description down below. But either way, I will see you guys in the next one.